Here we are on Thursday morning. I've just pulled the staples out of this cockpit job here, and oh well, it's not perfect, but it's not too bad. And I'll do that front bit probably a little bit later. But there you go, we've got the cockpit's pretty well reinforced now. There you go, it looks a little bit better with a bit of paint inside it. I didn't do everywhere, but I just did the plywood where I pulled those patches off. There was a bit of bare wood. Anyway, looks a bit better. Friday morning now. I've just pulled all the staples out of this quad that I've put around here in the bottom corner. You can see it's not a perfect fit, but it'll be right by the time I varnish it all up. Put that end piece in there. So now I've got a fairly complete and substantial cockpit area. Gosh, not much room here. And I guess once I get this sorted, I'll be moving on to the deck. I had to make that quad by hand, which wasn't a lot of fun. Anyway, it's a Fijian mahogany, the quad. Okay. I don't know if this will be of any interest to anybody, but I'm going to scarf the two, the deck join where the foredeck and the side decks join together. And I've just done it my way, which is pretty crude. I just put a couple of screws in the edges of the plywood that you can see here. Hopefully we'll lose those holes once we trim the thing up, and then use a fairly stiff piece of plywood underneath. Now this is just a 15mm scarf on a 4mm ply. Normally you'd probably go a bit wider than that, but because it's sitting on top of the original butt joint here, it's all going to be pretty strong. And it gets a bit less messy when you've got a shorter scarf. Okay, so that's what I've done. I've just planed that down with a jack plane. Didn't do a very good job of it, but we'll see what happens when it all glues together. Well, quick coat of resin on the inside of the decks, and hopefully I'll be able to glue them down when it's just a little bit tacky. That would be good. Well, that's a quarter of the deck down. I decided to use screws this time. Even though it'll leave a few holes, I can fill them up, and it just gets does a much better job of holding the thing down, especially in that awkward bit in the bow there. Nice bit of grain in that plywood. Of course, we won't have the luxury of being able to use clamps down the centre line on the next piece, but that's life. Anyway, quarter of the way there. It's going to be a slow process because I'll have to wait for that to dry before I do anything else. Well, here we are on a rainy Sunday. The deck is on, it's been cleaned up around the edges, and we're ready to put some trim on. In actual fact, I'm going to put some gunnels on this. Not very authentic, but anyway, there's the cockpit. Looking a bit bland at the moment. Decided to tidy up that little bit at the back there. And let's come back around again. Anyway, as you can see, I think you can see. No, you can't, it's too dark. That's the the state of the underneath of the boat. I think there's going to be a lot of filler and sanding and stuff going on there, which is another reason why I want to put a gunnel on it. It won't be very thick, it'll taper at the end. And so I can just work my way up to the bottom of the gunnel. Anyway, there it is, looking pretty good. Got to fill all the little holes that I made with the screws and stuff like that. Shouldn't be too bad. The scarves, there they are, sort of okay. They're okay. There's the one on the other side. There we go. Anyway, on with the job.